I always make sure to get this going here. All right, we are live, everybody. This is the 60th Chicago Real Producers Jam session. I was looking back at my Facebook feed and I'm like, oh, we have not done one of these since January. Just the in-person stuff resumed, which we're all very grateful for. And I thought we would, we had our winter events in early February, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we'll probably do one end of February, early March, and then the world happened. Events are popping, and people are just, there's I'd say, at least the vibe I'm hearing, we're 80 to 90, close to 100% back to normal. But I want to start this off. Most of you know who've been on these and watched these before. We keep them light, we keep them fun, but a very serious event happened on 4th of July. And so I'd like to just acknowledge and pray for the victims of the families in Highland Park. And so out of respect, we're going to give a brief moment of silence, just so they can be in our mind, because as though real estate and the world does move on. As a father with a wife and 4 kids, if anything tragic like that happened to myself or my loved ones, I would be devastated. So let's just kick this off the right way and give a moment of silence to the victims in Highland Park. It's tough. There's just no reason. And so we're obviously going to talk about real estate, but we want to pay our respect. So I would first of all like to acknowledge the people who are on here. I'm going to have the realtors very briefly introduce themselves. And the goal of these is just to connect, elevate, and inspire. That is our mission statement: is to rally like-minded people to scratch each other's backs and get value from one another. So Tiffany, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, thank you, Andy. I am Tiffany Razo. I am a real estate broker with the Butler Group at Compass, and this is my 4th year in real estate, and I'm super honored to be with all of you.
I am Cindi Sodolski. I am also at Compass, and in August it will be my 10th year in real estate.
Hey y'all, my name is Olin and I am with At Properties, and this is my 12th year in the business. Happy to be here.
And I'm Ryan McKane. I'm with Redfin, and next year it's going to be 20 years I've been in real estate.
I'm Lance Kirshner. I run the Lake Group at Compass. I thought I was the elder statesman, as I just celebrated 18 years in real estate in the industry, but apparently Ryan's got me beat.
No, I'll have the partners introduce themselves. Fun fact about Lance: he actually has the most defaced park benches around town. He's got one in Logan Square that I jog around, and every time it's like, it's not always on his face, but sometimes there's graffiti out. I'm like, dude, call your people. This one's, he'll text me back. So
no, it looks better that way.
It's our guy banter. I'm gonna have the partners introduce themselves, and I have to say, I'm honored to just share the screen with all of you. These are the people. The reason that I can do what I do is we have very heavy engagement with our platform, just the events, the magazine. The people who make it all work are these people. I'm very proud that our platform is not pay to play, meaning typically realtors do a lot of paid publicity. Real producers these are the real producers. We run their features based on nominations and closed production, work ethic, and reputation, which in my opinion, that's how it should be. And these are the people who make it happen. So Emma, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, then Ross, then Mike, and then we'll start talking shop.
Okay, Emma Butler. I run the Butler Group at Neighborhood Loans, and I have been a loan officer for 17 years.
Ross Neag. I'm the founder of Chicago Building Inspections. Been in the construction industry for 23 years and inspections for 15.
Good morning. I'm Mike Gunderson. I own the Gunderson Law Firm. I've been practicing real estate law for 17 years.
Hey, we got some seasoned people on here. So this is the part where I shut up and get out of the way. If there's an awkward pause, I might come in and crack a dad joke. But other than that, I'm going to try to be silent. So when we were pre-gaming, just kind of to get the conversation going, Olin, I'm going to divert to you because you had a great topic that just, not really a topic, but just an idea that just doesn't get a nuance. Let's call it that does not get talked about. So why don't you go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Okay, cool. Well, as you guys can see, this is not my Chicago backyard. I am in slightly sunny California right now, on a working vacation. And it's something that was important to us because my partner is a school teacher. So we have the option to travel during the summertime, but we are also looking for another property out here. And so we're kind of using this time as a working time, but also we're going to a bunch of properties and viewing for purchase. And so I started talking about that with the idea of self-care and using time away, because as brokers, we get so inundated and so busy. And so one of the things that I have had trouble with is working, 60 hours a week and not taking any time for myself, or, working every weekend and then pushing through the entire week. And so what I did for myself about maybe 8-9 months ago, I mean, it's rather new, is I said, Olin, you're gonna kill yourself if you do not slow down. You've got to give yourself a break. So I take Tuesdays off of work completely. Stay at home, no pants, watch TV all day long, just straight up off day. And it took a while for me to get to that point. And I'm sure you guys will have some similar feedback, but you're scared you're going to miss a phone call. You're scared that your client that's been missing out on every offer you've made is going to want to see that property on Tuesday. And I still have those fears. I'm very interested to see what you guys say, but otherwise I was going to be drained. So I started taking Tuesdays off, and I started explaining to my clients when we'd sit down in a listing appointment or in a first-time buyer meeting, this is what I can do for you. Here's my team. They're at your disposal when I'm not available, and I don't work on Tuesdays. So we will look at property over the weekend. If we find something, we make an offer. If not, we start showings up again on Wednesday. People call me, people email, and I've had to just learn how to just let that roll off my back. And I haven't missed anything to this point that's been detrimental. But at the same time, it's given me so much peace that I can do that and kind of recharge myself. And so that was one of the words that Andy had used, was about like, how do realtors recharge? Because we've had an incredible spring and summer so far. So that it helps me. And now that I'm here, like I'm working every morning. I'm trying to get on the Chicago timeline. So I'm working while I'm here. My team is covering things for me if I need boots on the ground. And then I go out and I play a little bit in the afternoon. So I've turned this into a working vacation because we don't get a ton of vacations. And Ryan, you said something earlier about not vacationing and not taking time for yourself. Does this scare the hell out of you, or is it because it's something that was important to me and I feel so much more fresh on a Wednesday morning? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, it's like I always tell people, I kind of pride myself on being a workaholic. And, last year I worked January to September with no days off. And I definitely paid for it mentally. And it's kind of, I think being a real estate agent is one of the few professions that also doubles as a mental illness, because when I'm busy, I'm stressed out. And when I'm not busy, I'm stressed out that I'm not busy. So it's like you're constantly anxious or stressed out, but you definitely have to learn how to take time for yourself and set boundaries with your clients, because at the end of the day, it's healthy. You need to do it, because I feel like it almost has like a cumulative effect if you don't take time off, because all of a sudden you're just burned out and you're irritable and you're drained and you don't know why, and you realize, oh wait, I haven't had a day off in 9 months. And I think it's a good metaphor, even though it's overused. It's kind of like when you're flying on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down. They always say, put it on yourself first. Why do they say that? Because you can't help other people if you don't help yourself first. And you have to do that. You have to take time for yourself. You have to recover. You know, at the end of the day, it just makes you a better agent. It makes you more mentally present for your clients. And sometimes you have to do that. And I've learned for myself, if I don't actually take a full vacation, just doing stupid little things for myself to take a break in the afternoon, like going and grabbing lunch somewhere and turning my phone off. You know, doing like this past weekend, I did a staycation. I stayed at the Hoxton in the West Loop and just sat by the pool and turned my phone off. And it was great. You just have to learn to take those little breaks every once in a while.
I couldn't agree more with you guys. I feel like in 2022, we've all taken the time to kind of reset, especially after last year, not just with real estate, but everything that's going on in the world. And I had a humble check when my clients were like, well, how do you do this? Like, how do you have time to just like hang out with people? Like, we would go crazy if we were doing what you were doing. I'm like, you're right. You know, we need to take the time to reset as well. And I feel like a lot of us, you know, with all the highest and best offers that are due, I've started seeing more and more agents make the highest and best due on Mondays instead of Sundays at noon, so that we can actually enjoy the weekend and be with family and friends and loved ones, so that we can just reset and be the best versions of ourselves for our clients.
Well, when your clients tell you you need to stop working, Cindy, take time off, like for sure that it's obvious we're working like 24/7, you know, we're always picking up the calls. And I agree with you guys. I have a question though, because I've been trying to do this for, I think 3 years, and I haven't made it work 1 week at all. Olin, do you work at all? Like, do you just turn off your phone, or are you not going to appointments?
You mean on the Tuesdays?
On your Tuesday?
Inevitably, you know, there's a phone call or an email that comes through. Yes. Or if I've, like you just said, Tiffany, if I've made an offer on a Monday and I need to hear back from them on Tuesday, then obviously I'm going to respond to that. I'm not going to completely ignore it. But what I'm saying is I don't schedule any meetings. I'm not going to the office, and I don't have any appointments. So I limit it to that. I think all of us, you know, answer questions and emails like it's no brainer because we have one of these in our pocket, right? So I just don't let myself do things on Tuesdays, and I don't show properties or do appointments.
So this is like, you are like speaking my language, because about 10 years ago, I decided, you know, that there was a certain life that I wanted to pursue. And, you know, it was coming out of me building my business. And, you know, to Ryan's point of every spring I would work 120, 130 days in a row without a day off. And I knew after doing that for like, because I became a full-time agent, I stopped appraising in 2009. And so by 2012, I just like, after 3 years of full-time, I just knew that I couldn't do that grind every year without help. And so then I started building out my team. Now, with that being said, I've kind of gone to the extreme opposite. And about 4 years ago, I started, I do a vacation every month, if the most every other month. So I was talking to my attorney, and he just went on his first vacation in 3 years. And I went back and I looked, and so his first vacation in 36 months, and I had taken 28 vacations in the time period that he had taken one. So I'm the exact opposite. So I'm definitely on the schedule of, you know, when I'm here, I'm working 6-7 days a week, but I stack my days off. So I'm gone anywhere from 5 to 10 days a month. So But with that being said, I do work. 2 weeks ago, I was in Mexico. I got 4 deals done while I was in Mexico, so not a bad vacation. But I do have, my team here with boots on the ground, and, it's definitely something that I've had to, incorporate with clients from the start, just kind of laying the groundwork of like, you will not get me 100% of the time. I will not be present 100% of the time for those emergencies, those fires, like the negotiations, the big problems. You absolutely will have access to me, you know what I mean? And nor am I handing you off and this is the end of the journey with me, So for me, it was very much setting the precedent from the start when I work with clients, so that when it happens, it's not like a surprise or a change. They can't get upset because I told them from the start how I operate. Now, do I think that I've probably lost a client or two who decided like, hey, maybe like that's not my gig and that doesn't sound great to me, and they chose another agent? Sure. But like the reality is I don't want, need, or can get every single client. I mean, like I have agents on my team who like get so down when they thought they had a new buyer or seller and then they go a different direction. But the reality is there's 15,000 brokers in Chicago. People have plenty of options. I am a good option, but if I lose a client to Olin or Cindi, I'm like, you know what? They picked another great agent. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And like next year I might get a client that, talked to Olin and they ended up going with me. Like, I don't stress about that because, the reality is I kind of figured out what works for me and people got to figure out what works for them. But, I really like Olin's Tuesday off. And I think that everyone just kind of needs to figure out what works for them. Like for me, I don't think that I can have a dedicated day off, every single week, but I can commit to looking at my schedule and saying, okay, this month I can fit in, I got back last Sunday and then I leave next Thursday. You know what I mean? So like, you just figure it in, now granted, I'm single, I have no kids. So from a responsibility level, it's much easier than, if you have a spouse or children or all that sort of responsibility. So I have the advantage of that, but I strongly believe that you need to be figuring out something, some out, be it a day off, a vacation, you know what I mean? Like you just have to force yourself because to Ryan's point, we stress when we have clients, we stress when we don't have clients. Like, dude, if you talk to a broker that doesn't have problems with anxiety, that means that they're like, they have another job, like, because like this job, I mean, like people tell me I'm chill. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm holding my cool on the outside, but trust me, inside, like there's someone like running around, pulling their hair out, all that stuff. I mean, like, I would say my average anxiety level is an 8.5.
I went to acupuncture this week, which I haven't done for a long time. I'm like, I'm achy all over. Like maybe I have this, maybe I have that. He's like, no, you're stressed. I'm like, really? Like he could tell right away by the needles or whatever they do. But so that was
We're just looking at you, watching you like shake uncontrollably, Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel calm, but maybe not.
Well, this business is crazy. And if you can't handle it, you've got to find out some way for self-care. So Lance, I envy the way that you can do it, but I think that everybody's got to figure out just whatever works for them,
I found at the start of this year, I was looking back at the last 2 years and I was like, oh my God, like all I've done is work. Like all I did was work. I mean, all day long, because there was so many loans you could do. I was like, I'll just do them because the student's going to be gone and there won't be any more loans to do. So we're just going to keep on doing them. And then in January, I was just a disaster. Like I was unhealthy. I was unfit. I was just like, I wasn't a nice person. Like, I just wasn't. I'm like, you want a loan? Just like a crazy person. So I went away to Mexico. I'm like, I'm out of here, you know. I went away to Mexico and I started running again, and I spent like a month there just trying to figure myself out. And I was like, okay, I need to what are my goals? Like, who am I? Right? What what do I do beside like mortgages? I was like, oh my God, I don't even have any hobbies. It's like, I'm a loser. So I was like, okay, that's it. So this year I really had to like dedicate a huge amount of time. Like, okay, I need to learn how to get up earlier in the morning, right? That was a big thing for me to do. Instead of just getting up and going straight into the office, you know, checking my emails right away. So I had to become like a morning person. It's not natural, but I put the time in, and, you know, it's like really changed my life, giving myself more time in the morning to contemplate like my day and what I'm grateful for. Has helped me in this market, because we're never happy, right? It's too busy, it's too slow. We're just never content. I'm like, I need to find other things besides work to make me happy, because we're never happy with that. So that's not going to work. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to book a trip to Ireland. I'm going to go home for 2 weeks, which I don't think I've ever done in like 20 years. So I'm like, and I did that, and I don't know. I'm feeling so much better, but it's you have to dedicate yourself to it, right? And
to Emma's point, there's two things that she said that I really liked that are outside of my advice of taking a vacation every month, which I understand is probably not realistic advice. But two things that she said that I really like are, one thing that I started doing last year is just like a moment of gratitude. And like when I wake up, literally I take 60 to 90 seconds to like just think about something that I could be like grateful for. Like literally this morning, it was even something so stupid about like my youngest dog. She just like loves to cuddle me, and like it's a blessing / curse, because like she's big and hot, and I'm just like, ugh, get off me. But the fact that I wake up and she's just like so excited that I'm up, and to say good morning, I'm like, okay, I'm really grateful that like that's the first thing that I wake up to. So you know what I mean. So that's something that I started trying to like preach to my team, because I think that it's so easy to get stuck in negativity, like the highs and lows in this industry. It's just, I mean, you're king or queen of the world, and then the next thing you're like pond scum, you know what I mean? And so like, just like, oh my God, you just ruined someone's life because you didn't get that deal done or their deal
right
done. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, you're just the worst person ever. So, so I found that the whole moment of gratitude has like really changed my mental health a little bit. And then the second thing is something that I'm struggling with, and I was really good about it pre-COVID, and it's something I'm really trying to get back into, and that's early mornings. I am not a morning person. I want to wake up at 8 a.m. Like that feels great to me. But if I can get up, and I know this is insane, pre-COVID, I was insane. 2 days a week, I was in a workout class by 5:30. So that meant like I was getting up at 4:50, 4:55 to like let the dogs out to rush to get to a workout class. And every time I'd be like, why the hell am I working out in the middle of the night? But, I'd be done, you know what I mean? Like I'm worked out, I felt good, like my endorphins were going, and I could actually like respond to some emails before, 9 a.m. when your phone just like starts exploding because everyone, wants your attention and everything else like that. So that really helped my anxiety, was like starting earlier. Before I could get up at 4:50, 4:55. Now, like 5:45 is the struggle is real. But it is something that I've like started incorporating, trying to do it like 1 to 2 days a week. And I'm just trying to slowly get my body back to like getting up a little bit earlier, and you hear about all these millionaires and billionaires who get up at, 5 a.m. every freaking day. I can't commit to that, but maybe if I could like do a couple days a week, I think that helps too. And again, like I'm just trying little tweaks, all just trying to stay sane out here.
Yeah, it took me a while to. I'm not naturally a morning person. Like 8 o'clock would be ideal. Because I would like to stay awake late at night watching TV. I just like it. So I can't do that, but I find I have to do it every morning. If I don't get up at the same time for like 3 days in a row, the fourth day, I'm just like, it's so hard. Like I have to do it. I've been committed to it because I really like having the mornings. Like, I'm like, wow, I never had that before. Like, that's like extra time that I never had.
But what you can do early in the morning, like that, I usually get up. If I don't do it early in the morning, I don't do it. But there's like no traffic driving to the gym, like it's just, and then you're done you've done more than most people have done like in half the day, like just in a couple hours. So I love first thing in the morning workout, although it's hard to find, like if you want to have a workout buddy. I remember like begging some of my real estate friends to like join me in the boxing classes at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And everyone's like, no.
I
can't find anyone.
I asked Tiffany to do a class with me at 7. She was like, no.
I'm in the same boat as Lance. I was up early like a year or two ago, and now I'm struggling. It's hard. I find myself staying up late, working on things and, searching for new properties. So it's tough to try to get back into that old mind shift.
I'm probably the only outlier here. I'm usually up about 4:30 every day.
What time do you go to bed?
Nice.
There's my surprise face.
You're asking the right question, because when I tell people that, they're always like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." I'm like, "You're asking the wrong question. It's what time do I go to bed?" I'm like an old man. I'm in bed by like sometimes 9:30.
You have to.
Yeah.
Or you'll crash for
yeah,
sure. If you're not
it's,
sleeping by 10 to get up that early, then you crash.
And I'm also, again, like an elderly man, I take a nap every day for 20 minutes, right around 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Oh,
Dude, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that.
In the daytime.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm 20 minutes.
No way.
And it's like I just got a full night's sleep and I'm ready to go.
Dude, if you give me 20 minutes, I'll lay down and make a mental checklist of all the shit I need to do in 20 minutes that I could be doing while I lay on the couch. I'm like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. I'm like, wait, I need to get off the couch. I wish I could do that. I'm very envious of the 20 minutes. Very envious. But what are you doing? Okay, so like, are you gymming? Like, are you doing emails, or like, what are you doing in that like 4 to 7?
Honestly, when I get up, I'll have a cup of coffee and yes, I get up early, but I tell people I'm not a morning person in that, like, I'm not friendly at that time. Like I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. But it helps that I live alone and, I don't wake anybody up. But I'll usually read for about half hour, 45 minutes. Then I go to the gym. When it's nice out, I'll go for a walk outside and then go to the gym, then come home. And I try not to touch my email or anything, like, social media, email, all that stuff. I don't look at it, touch it until at least 7:30 or 8 o'clock, because I don't want to start my day on my back foot and start it off with anxiety. It's like the mornings are mine. I just try to make the most of it and get my workout in and, have some me time.
Well, that's the key. Like Lance said, you can't get up in the morning and start something that's going to be hectic. I mean, you do the meditation or the gratitude. If you immediately, because we all have our cell phones right beside us charging, if that's your alarm clock,
Yeah.
if you start looking at your email immediately, you start yourself off with a negative
Right.
day.
Yeah.
Or you see that email that you were dreading, or you realize, you know, something's happened over the evening or clients are trying to find you. So I have an alarm clock, like an old school alarm clock that I don't even use. And I should, because it would make me actually get up out of the bed and walk to the dresser, but I still use it on my phone, and I just have to like turn it back over and then start my day. And like you said, Ryan, don't even look at your email. Like, are they really expecting a response at 6:15? No. So why are we looking at our email at that time?
Yeah.
I keep my phone downstairs. I think I'm one of the few people I know that don't even have my phone near me. So that helps a lot. Like, that's because if I did, I'd probably be scrolling through the news or Facebook or emails or whatever, like till who knows when. And then they have that theory about the light, like you shouldn't look at a screen, you know, an hour before sleep or something. So that helps me like fall asleep, I think, quicker. And then I could keep it a little separate. But I have the ring, I don't have it turned off. Like if there's an emergency and my phone's ringing, I just run downstairs.
I want to get people's opinion on this, okay? With regards, you mentioned the news and it popped into my head. Has anybody found that the news is really influencing like buyers and sellers to like into fear? I'm like,
Absolutely.
it's horrible. I'm like, this market is a great market. Like rates are not astronomical. They're healthy. Like appreciation is healthy, and there's so much fear.
I just made a video on this last week talking about it, because I always have to tell people, first of all, the media is always 30 to 60 days behind.
Yeah.
Like I had a client last week send me an article saying, talking about how I think it was from Wall Street Journal or something, and a pretty prominent news outlet, and was talking about how outdoor space is important and how work from home space is important for buyers in this market. I'm like, no shit, that was that's 2 years old at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's people understand like the concept of like the stock market going up and down, and they get that, but for some reason there's always a disconnect when it comes to the housing market. And I have to tell people, all markets at their core are motivated by emotion. They're driven by emotion, and we know human emotion is fleeting. So, but I do notice that when people will read an article or they'll say something like, oh my God, rates are going up, and this news outlet saying that the housing market is going to crash, and this is, it's, people are so emotionally driven, which is why I think it's more important now than ever for us to be leaders and tell people, hey, this is what's actually going on. The media is usually 30, 60, 90 or 2 years behind. But this is actually what's going on, and give people a realistic idea of what's going on in the market, and kind of help calm their fears a little bit.
Right.
Well, I feel like just everything takes a while, you know what I mean? Like, just like when the world ended and we went into lockdown, right? Real estate never shut down, but I would say there was a 60-day kind of like pause where we weren't really working on any new business. We were just kind of like getting the deals that we had under contract or things like that, like under wraps. And then people were like, okay, this is not like a 30-day thing. I got to move or whatever. And then I feel like we started shifting. So I feel like everything just kind of needs to like settle in a little bit. And so I think that the reality is like rates were going up so fast, everyone, like a lot of these buyers just kind of like froze. And I mean, like, yeah, they're still going up, but like I think that people just need to kind of like get used to the environment again,
Right.
get used to where we're at. I mean, the reality is Can anyone point to a strong July we've had in the past decade? I mean, really, like,
Or August, yeah, it's like the quietest. I mean,
dude, July and August is
cricket.
always, you know,
Always.
always. I mean,
That's
like,
why I booked my trip.
100%. So like, I mean, I talk about like, I'm big into the trips, but like with my team, I tell people, I'm like, hey, I get like this, like we got things that pop up, like weddings, we got to go out of town, or like a family vacation or whatever. But I tell my team, no big trips, like no major trips, no 1-2 week trips in the first half of the year. I don't care if you're gone 3-5 days, but like if you're going to Europe, I don't care when in the second half of the year you go. Like Christina on my team is about to leave for 3 weeks to go to Eastern Europe, and great, that's fine. She's leaving the end of July. She'll be back the middle of August. Guess what she's missing? Nothing, you know? And so, you know, when I was married and I went on my 10-year anniversary to Greece for 2.5 weeks, I went in August because like, that's when we're going to go. So I welcome this time, you know, let people adjust. I am looking for a stronger fall. We've had some weaker falls. I think that this fall will actually be okay. Do I think we're going to have like this crazy robust market? Absolutely not. But like, am I okay with a normalized market? Absolutely. Do I think that I'll be doing some deals this fall? Absolutely. You know, and I'm kind of putting my money where my mouth is, in the fact that like, I've said I want to pick up a multi-unit. I just made an offer on a property yesterday. I'm waiting, you know, I think that I should have a deal done today on a Greystone in Logan. Like, the reality is that I've been afraid to buy anything for the past couple of years because I didn't want to get caught up in all these crazy bidding wars and this and that. So
Right.
I'm actually taking this opportunity of it being slow to look for some potential opportunities, you know? And so like, I get it. My interest rate is going to be higher than it would have been 2 years ago. But I also know the fact that like, if rates come down, I'll just refi. You know,
Right.
it's not, you know, I mean, the opportunity has presented itself. If I can drop my payment by $200 in a year or two from now, great. But the reality is, with the numbers how they are, it still makes sense. I have an opportunity. And guess what? I'm not in a bidding war. I'm the only person offering on the building. You know, like, when's the last time that happened? So, you know, I don't know. From my perspective, I think that it just needs to like settle in, chill out. So, I mean, I'm probably trying to calm myself down too, but I'm just saying, you know what? July and August is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I made hay January through June. Time to chill out, time to work on my business. And guess what? You know, let's push, let's have a good fall. Let's, you know, get our stuff ready, and let's get ready for 2023, because that's around the corner. We're past freaking 4th of July already.
Mike, are you seeing like a slowdown on contracts from like the attorney end?
Really, it's, you know, it's kind of stranger transaction, I'd say, but still generally things are moving. Fewer people trying to outbid each other, so that's been nicer, but you know, still kind of steady. Nothing sharply different than the last couple of months, at least on our end.
What have you noticed? One thing I've noticed is a lot of buyers are just making like this incredible offer to be accepted, and then they're making their decision during attorney review, right? Like, I just want to win, and then I'm going to decide if I really want this place or not, with all the multiple offers. And I feel like that's still going on. Have you seen a lot of cancellations on your end?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen more cancellations probably in the last 3 months than I have in a while. I think some people didn't really do the math on offers this, you know, later in the game. Like, if they missed out in the end of last year or the beginning of this year and then are making new offers now, they're not doing the math on their new mortgage amount or, you know, other conditions that have affected it. So yeah, I am seeing cancellations because people start doing their homework before jumping back in.
I'm kind of curious, since we have a home inspector here, Ross, are you seeing buyers being just a little bit more anxious, aggressive, or just a little bit more, I guess, concerned, like when they come to when they're having their homes inspected. Because I've noticed on my end, obviously with the shifting market, buyers are just essentially trying to renegotiate the purchase price when they're under contract. So I'm curious to know what kind of conversations you're having with buyers.
Well, I mean, it's clearly been a seller's market for quite a while. And I think our buyers, and we do a good job of educating them that they've come back to reality. I think inspections used to be, we want everything on it, from a doorknob fixed to, weather stripping to, trim this bush from the house. And now you have these, driveway conversations post-inspection. You're like, hey, there's going to be 40 things on here, but focus on A and B, knock those out, and then chip away at the rest. It makes a house that much more attractive when you can give that, we always tell them, we're going to give you context, right? You can pick this house up, move it a block away. And if you have us come back and inspect this next house, we're going to find the same stuff again. So sooner or later, you have to understand that every house is going to have some issue. It's been, I think, a lot less pressurized for buyers than it has been in the past. Maybe it's because we have a lot of repeat clients. Maybe buyers are just a little bit better educated by their agents going into the process and just saying, hey, just get ready, right? If they're ready and you explain it, they're prepared, and then they can make an executive decision and, maybe buy a house with a couple pimples, but knock it out.
Good to know.
I just pictured a house with acne. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's my joke.
We see plenty of them. I got a quick question. With a pending rate hike again, do you think that would get some people off the fence that might have been sitting around for a little bit and kind of, maybe jumpstart the fall?
Well, the thing about, the Fed rate hike is tied to people's credit cards, and it's not tied to a 30-year fixed mortgage. So, with the Fed continuing to increase their interest rate, we're actually seeing that have a positive impact on the 30-year long-term mortgage. So, when rates shot up there to above 6%, that was because the inflation data had come out, and then the Fed then increased the rate, 0.75, which had a positive impact. So a lot of people don't know this, right? They don't know it. The average person has no idea what the Fed rate hike impacts, right? They just presume it's going to affect their 30-year mortgage and it's going to go up 0.75%. So it probably, it might move people. I'm not sure. I don't feel like it has. I don't feel like that has been the impact over the last few months, that it is forcing people or getting people off the fence. I feel like people are waiting just to see what's going to happen as far as like home prices go, and people that are talking to me now, they seem to, they're okay with the interest rate, right? They've come to, I feel like they've accepted it. What was hard was the start of the year with the talking to buyers when rates were in the 3s, and then going into the 4s, and then going into the 5s. And that, that was very difficult. And I think we lost buyers because of that, who will possibly wait until next year because they kept on having to readjust their payments.
So Emma, are you seeing a lot of people still just inquiring about straight 30-year mortgages, or are you talking to people about 15 years or ARMs, or what are people actually talking about?
ARMs are not doing great right now. So the ARMs on jumbos are okay. ARMs on conventional loans are not competitive at the moment. They were earlier on this year. They're not now because the indexes they're tied to have been increasing. And so majority of people are looking at the 30-year mortgage. I would say the big chunk of people who are purchasing now will end up refinancing their mortgages, So I do show them different options for different amortizations. And I do tell them more than likely you will end up refinancing, in the next 12, 24 months. If you want, you can you know, if it's their first time buying, maybe they shouldn't go and do a 15-year or 20-year. Just get used to making your mortgage payment. If you want to change it in the future, you can change it in the future. More than likely, this is going to occur. There will be, you know, a refinance component to the market in the next year or so.
I've got it. So I've got a quick one again for the fall. You know, Tiffany, you're part of a good sized group. It's well known. What are you guys doing for the fall? Like, how are you gearing up with your buyers and your sellers?
Yeah, so for buyers, I mean, for me personally, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. So it's having that conversation that the market is starting to shift, but I think in a good way for buyers. So this is what buyers have been asking for people who put their search on hold last year because there were too many bidding wars, and even the beginning of the year, there were a lot of bidding wars. Now, with the rates increasing, and it did scare some people, just because we're used to such low rates from the last year or two, they can get their offer accepted easier, or you know, maybe it's just one other person they're competing with, but either way, when
Oh, she's frozen.
Rose.
We lost her.
I think she's just really good at holding still. That's what my money's on.
it's too.
I think we lost her. Oh, there she goes. Tiffany, we lost you for like 10 to 12 seconds.
Oh no.
Rose.
That's okay though. You got to repeat everything verbatim. No pressure.
Verbatim. What was the last thing you heard?
You work with first-time home buyers.
Oh,
Wasn't that
so the whole thing basically.
But it's worth hearing again.
Okay.
That's right.
So yeah, for me personally, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. So for people who I was working with last year that were a little scared and put their search on hold to wait till this year, I was like, this is what you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for the time to not have to compete with other buyers and get your
That's a good
offer
point.
accepted. And you know, even though the rates are going up, it's still historically very low. And like Emma said, you can still refinance. It's fairly inexpensive to refinance in Illinois as opposed to some other states.
right?
So, you know, once you get under contract, then you might have more ability to negotiate, and you might not need to do an as-is deal. You may not need to waive your inspection. So I just think it's a great time for buyers, especially.
I had just a quick question just about mortgages for investment properties and financing on investment properties, because I keep hearing conflicting things out there from different lenders. But Emma, are you seeing that some lenders are doing away with investment property loans, or they're just tightening up on them, tightening the guidelines, anything like that? Because, you know, I hear from some lenders like, oh, this so-and-so bank is no longer lending on investment properties, while others are saying, no, that's not the case. But just curious to hear your point of view on that.
Yeah, we're investment properties per Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are still the same. There's been no guideline changes. The only issue that we do have, it would come to pricing, you know, and more than likely the client's going to have to pay points. It's just with a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan, it's just the way it is, right? I have one right now. Now it's a cash out refinance investment property. If they want to rate at 5.99, keep it under 6, right? They're going to have to pay 3 points. It's a lot, but they're doing a cash out refinance. So
Yeah.
like, it's okay. It's okay. But there's a large adjustment, like there's a 3.5 adjustment to an investment property of 3.25. So, you know, it's just a matter, do you up the rate to 7%, right? Or without paying any points, if it's even an option, there has to be some points involved. But there's a lot of non-QM loans, which I think are pretty cool if you're into mortgages, where they're like the cash flow, you know, you just base it on cash flow of the property, right? You can get 80% purchase based on cash flow of the property. So like it's no income tax. And I feel like the interest rates are quite comparative to what the conventional is on it. So I haven't seen it. I do quite a bit of investment properties, and I don't know, they still seem to be going strong. So I have some properties and. Oh, I think I echoed. I was like, what?
Wondering if the sellers, if all of the agents there on the call, I feel like the sellers are having a harder time accepting the increase of rate changes than the buyers are.
Absolutely.
I am not sure that they really understand what
don't.
is going on, because, you know, maybe we could have got over asking back then, but the buyers are having to pay so much more money for, you know, the same property a few months ago.
I've had
So I
that.
feel like there's a disconnect.
Strong disconnect.
Absolutely.
When I have sellers who are like, oh, well, okay, we'll list it 10,000 less than we thought we were going to. I'm like, that does nothing. I mean, like literally, like, I know you were going to go 665, going to 650 doesn't move the needle when those buyers are looking at 2% higher interest rate than they were 90 to 100 days ago. Like, I'm sorry, I know that you're making this huge concession, but it doesn't work that way.
They'd be better off using that $10,000 and letting them buy down the rate.
100%, or taking the $10,000 and improving the property more to make it more attractive. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, to renovating it to, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, just cut it 10,000. I'm like, that does shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's great that makes you feel better about the situation, but you know, like you know, that helps you mentally, but that doesn't do anything for me, the guy who's got to sell it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm like, let's be realistic about it. And, you know, everything else, just like before you list something, you're like, okay, we're going to list on Wednesday. We're going to show Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll review offers on Sunday. We're signing something Monday morning. You can't plan that anymore. Like that's not the way that it works. And so sellers are like, wait, what do you mean you didn't sell my house in 2 weeks? I'm like, guess what? The average days on market is 100 days. So, you know, like, I know, like, I'm good, but like, I'm not buying your place. Like, I don't create the market, you know? So I think that sellers are more unrealistic than buyers.
Absolutely.
Currently. Correct.
And I feel like this time of the year as well. So from my experience, sellers never understand the Chicago summer market. They think that it's going to be the same. And it comes around, you put your house on the market in August and you have nobody coming to an open house or to a showing. And they're like, my realtor is terrible. I'm like, well, no, it's not your realtor. Okay. It's the fact that you put your house on the market in August and you see anybody, nobody's here. Everyone's away. They're at the beach. Like even anybody who's trying to purchase, who's part of an actual transaction, trying to get documents off them to close a loan in August is like painful. Nobody's responding to me. I'm like, hello, are you still buying this home?
Yeah, no, it is. And people talk about the summer market. They're like, what? The summer housing market? I'm like, is crap. Let me finish that sentence for you. I'm like, you know, I mean, like, you mean the one that isn't there? I'm like, you know, and if you talk to them about it, I'm like, wait, you know, they're like, oh, well, I'm going on vacation, so you can show my home. I'm like, so are all the buyers, you know, like while you're on vacation, the buyer is on the beach next to you. I'm like, I'm going on vacation too. None of us are here. There's no one to look at it. There's no one to show it. Like, you know, like, I don't think that, you know, there's just a mental disconnect.
Ross, you were going to say something, go ahead. And then Ross, after you go, I'm going to get a screenshot with everybody smiling. So go ahead, sir.
So minus all the potential deal killing objects out there, are rate buy downs the new lifeline to keep deals alive? Is that the biggest thing that can hold a deal together?
Question.
I mean, when I've been going to open houses, I go to open houses, I put together some presentations, I've been putting it in there and showing it to realtors, just educating people, because it's not something that has been around for the past while. People that have been in business a long time, we've seen it before. And dollar for dollar, it works better than reducing a purchase price. So it's if people are on board and they want to use it, they can use it. But I haven't actually seen it being used.
All right, we're gonna smile, everybody. Screenshot, all fully branded. And my true realtor fashion. Okay, this is how this is gonna work. I have 4 kids. Nobody ever smiles simultaneously. You guys are all adults. Some of you borderline. I'm talking to about myself. So when you see me stop smiling and you stop smiling, you ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, I think. Hold on. Gunderson. No, that was good. Gundy, you got it. Also, I do have to share this with everybody. Right after the second week of January, when we had our most recent one of these, hold on here. I was at a conference. So the Real Producers publishers actually get together 3 times a year, January, May, and then September, just to kind of like basically to do our own jam session. It's pretty much what it is. We have topics. I speak on it. Sometimes apparently people think I'm good at what I do, and I put on a front, just like realtors. You got to act as if. So, but I was at a dinner, and I thought this was so cool. This was in Charlotte. I'm going to screen share this because like, oh my gosh, I'm going to share this on the next one. And of course, we didn't do one for 6 months. So I was down. We were at a nice steak dinner. People like ordering like expensive bottles of wine, and I was like, people who know me, Ross especially, know I'm a craft beer guy. So I was looking at the craft beer list, which just has no eternal value to real estate, but I just thought was really cool. There's a beer. Can you guys see that? Called Jam Session.
That's so cool.
And it looks
was
exactly
cool.
like
I like
you,
that
Andy.
graphic.
Dude, I just need some sunglasses, the pale ale, the Noda Brewing Company, which is out of Charlotte, so it's a local one. So I was like, the next jam session, which in my mind I thought I was going to do in a couple weeks, but here we are in July. Thought it was there. So as we sort of wind this down, we got 2-3 minutes. Closing thoughts. What I'd like to do is give Ross, Emma, and Gunderson just the chance to I don't want to use the phrase like pick the realtor's brains, but just like from your industry, because the real estate's funneled by the realtor. But from your industry, what are things that realtors can do to make your life easy so the transaction runs smoother? This is your time to maybe be a little bit more aggressive than you normally would. So I know this is not in a perfect world, because sometimes what you suggest conflicts with the realtors thing, but if there are suggestions. So Gunderson, you laughed really hard, so you're gonna go first, man.
That's
No pressure.
That's an impossible question. And their anxiety is shared by everybody. But can I just say something positive instead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For not entirely great reasons, at least in my opinion, it's a fantastic time to be living and working in the state of Illinois. Amazingly enough, I would not have said that a year ago. But right now, for a lot of reasons, this state, and I think for that purpose, the real estate market is really going to be in a really good place for the time being. A lot of good things happening. So stay the course, and I think everybody will have good things coming their way in the next 5 to 10 years. Just an opinion on a lot of things going on.
Cool, man.
If I can jump in, I would just say, I know we're there to perform a certain part of the real estate transaction, but if you ever have a question or you want just maybe a second or third opinion on something that pops up during an inspection you're already having, we're a pretty good resource. I mean, a lot of times people will reach out and be like, no, that is a non-issue. Do not let this seller blow this up over this item. And other times it is pretty significant where you say, hey, no, you need to have somebody come look at this. So kind of getting that little balance, I think really helps. Buyers are already on eggshells as it is. And if they are not handy type, like many of our buyers today, they're just it's a digital culture. So they don't know, all they want to do is call somebody. We can help just kind of bring them back to reality and say, hey, this is not $100,000. It might be 10 to 15, but don't be freaked out by, some number you heard from, your uncle or your father-in-law.
That's good. That's sound advice. Emma, close this out.
Okay, so I've got a list of things you can do to make my job easier.
Oh,
I'm
How long do you got?
joking. I joke. It's going to just take 10 minutes. All right. Come on. Number one. No, just, everybody that's on here are super positive people. I just, just remain positive. Good energy attracts good energy, So, take your time to recoup during the summer, and let's just have an awesome fall. Use me as a resource. If you want to try to see how to make a deal work, contact me. I've been around a long time. I'm old. I got a few good ideas. So that's it.
I'm going to cut the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. Hold on. Nobody's signed off yet, but I will cut the live stream. Right. 2, 1. All right. We're not live anymore. Thank you guys. And I really appreciate, these all take on a mind of their own, but I really like how we spent the first 15, 20 minutes just talking about self-care. That was very organic. I thought it was super cool. You guys know the drill. If you want to get on another one of these and rally some different faces, peace out. But yeah, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So have a productive day. Go sell lots of real estate and relax at the same time. I'll let you figure out how you're going to make that work. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.